County. Lauderdale County is within some of this warning, also out through Haywood County as well, all the way out towards McNary, Hardeman, as mentioned, Fayette, and Shelby. That's one warning, but we've got other warnings as well back towards Cross County, St. Francis County, Crittenden County, also within that severe thunderstorm warning presently. And then south into northern Mississippi and southeastern Arkansas through Phillips County, Coahoma County, northern Quitman County, northwest Panola County, Tate and DeSoto County, and also into Marshall County. So multiple severe thunderstorm warnings all in effect around this area. The first one I mentioned was until 9:30. Then we also have another one to the south, as I mentioned a moment ago. That one goes until 9:15. So that's and then also out towards eastern Arkansas. That severe thunderstorm warning is also until 9:15. So we're going to be here for the next several hours this morning as we track these severe thunderstorms. I'm going to zoom in right now on the storm here in Shelby County. You may be hearing through my microphone that this has already rolled through parts of East Memphis. And I'm going to switch over to the velocity product just so we can track where some of the fast winds are. So notice with me up towards the legend, this is all the green color in the motion towards the radar. This is around Millington, around the Millington Airport. That's where the radar is. So these winds are moving directly towards the radar site, and we've got a low-level view of that. And we've got those light blue colors showing up. Notice back up at the legend here, we got that transition from the light green to that bright blue. That's a critical wind speed right there, where we're seeing severe winds in downtown Bartlett. That is moving north. That'll be crossing over the Austin P Highway within the next 5 minutes, if not already. The thing is, radar is never live per se. This is an image we took a few moments ago, and it will update as it moves to the north very quickly as well. This present severe thunderstorm warning, if I get the information, of course, I want to get that a little more centered of what we're seeing for those wind speeds. So that would be 60-mile-per-hour winds there. The severe thunderstorm warning is for 60-mile-per-hour winds, as we see on radar right now, and potential for quarter-sized hail. So there's also some hail within this storm. Just getting some recent scans there. So it looks like that bubble of the stronger winds has shrunk a little bit, but it is still severe and could still expand as well. And the thing is, this is also a very small scan at the surface. We could have just above that some more winds around that area. I want to take your attention now towards the downtown area. These storms are moving north to northeast, and just to our south and southwest, there are some pockets there of some near severe winds that could be moving into downtown Memphis very shortly. Also, down towards northern Tunica County and across parts of Tunica County. We're getting a little bit higher in the atmosphere. As the radar beam goes out, it goes up into the atmosphere. So we're seeing higher and higher to the farther south, and we're seeing more pockets there across Tunica County moving towards western DeSoto County, excuse me. That was where we could see some more severe winds rolling in very shortly. Off towards the north and west here, northeast I should say, this is out towards Crockett County, southern half of Crockett County. We've also got some of these pinks. We'll look to the other end of the scale here. When we go from the red to the pink, that is the threshold there you see in the legend from moving away and away at severe strength. So we've got severe winds moving into the Maury City area right now. Whenever we talk about severe winds, I should say, you always want to be sheltered inside your home, away from windows and walls. If you have trees that extend over your home, making sure that you're away from those windows where those branches could break the windows and potentially cause damage to your home. You always want to be very aware of that. Got alarms going off right now. Normally waking up around this time. It looks like we've seen some expansion in that pocket of severe winds here. So we could see around the 412 highway there between Alamo and Friendship. That's moving out of our viewing area towards Trenton and Fruitland. That warning may be extended. We'll have to wait for a warning from the National Weather Service there. I've got Scott Mattis in giving me some help this morning. Scott, if you could give me a quick moment, I'd like to see what you are looking at over there on radar.
Sure. Good morning, Kit. Good morning, Memphis and the entire Mid-South. I'm in the Severe Weather Center, of course. I'm looking at rotation, the map right now. As you can see on your screen, we've got solid orange right now. This is a moderate rotation for all across the entire metro. We're looking at eastern Arkansas, northern Mississippi, and of course, western Tennessee. Again, it's orange right now. What we're looking for is for the potential, the very real potential for this entire area, if we can pull this up, to turn into a red. All right, so we're looking at that. And then one of the things that Kit has been talking about over the last several days, we're going to look at current temperatures right now. Current temperatures in the city of Memphis: 64, Bolivar 65 degrees, Corinth 68. And why that's important is the dew point. Kit has been talking about so often when that dew point gets very close to 59, 60 degrees, that is when you have the increased chance of very severe weather, which we are experiencing right now all across the metro. The dew point right now in the city of Memphis, 60 degrees, 63 in Bolivar, where we're seeing incredibly dramatic storms right now. And I know Kit is going to be zooming into that area because that has been a point of contention over the last 30, 45 minutes. Corinth, the dew point, of course, 64 degrees. Once again, we're looking at the tornado threat outlook. A little bit east of the downtown area, of course, not necessarily in the metro portion of the state of Arkansas, but without question, you can see that very severe threat in western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and parts, the very sliver parts of southeastern Arkansas. Again, this is a very quickly developing storm. Again, we're going to go back to rotation. This is still in the orange. What we want to pay attention to is when this goes red. Again, this is a very moderate portion of the rotation as we are looking at it. Once that turns red, this is going to become even more serious. We're going to send things back over to Kit Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Scott. Of course, we're looking at radar now. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning here that goes into parts of Mississippi County and then western portions along the east bank of the Mississippi River in parts of Lauderdale County and Tate County. So we'll zoom in on that warning and we'll get that information on your screen, as well as that new warning just issued by the National Weather Service for the Blytheville area up through Osceola as well, and far northern parts of Shelby County around the Millington area. That is until 9:45, so we're going to be with multiple warnings over the next several hours. So I'm going to swap over to the velocity products so we can keep an eye on where those strong winds are. Here's the difficulty that we have with radar as storms roll through. Radar can only see what's coming towards it or going away from it for the storm winds. And unfortunately, we're seeing perpendicular. As you see, that's the sweeping arm of the radar that's moving through. Right there, the winds are moving across that beam in a perpendicular fashion, so we cannot see the exact wind speed. So let's rewind the clock just a little bit over the last 30 minutes here and see where we've had some of those strong winds across eastern Shelby County. We've mentioned a couple of times that bright blue color. That's where we have a threshold change for the winds, where we know that severe winds are occurring. And we did have that across southwestern parts of Shelby County here, crossed over the Interstate 40 corridor there. So as we play this forward, looks like that wave of energy, you can notice off towards the western edge of that. Look out towards Marion, towards West Memphis there. There's this sort of arc from the severe winds here in East Memphis to northwest Memphis, out to Marion, and then back south. Just follow that arc forward with your eyes real quick. Notice how it starts to take on a more gray to red shade there. That's where the winds are beginning to go away from the radar here in Millington. So this is a bowing segment, and that can often be a signature that we've got very strong winds right in a pocket on the center of that bow. Even though the radar cannot see how fast those winds are, with the advance of that and just with the shape, the nature of those storms, that's very likely to be producing some severe winds across far northwest Shelby County here. Trying to get my bearings, and that'll be moving towards the Golden Lake area. So I'm going to track that out. Let me get some information on how fast this storm is moving. It's moving moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So I'm going to zoom out this storm warning, and I'm going to put a bow on top of that segment that we've got right there. And we're going to move that to the northeast for the next 50 minutes. So this is a timeline of when we could see those severe thunderstorm winds. Let me move that box out from behind me here. So around the 9 o'clock time frame, it's already moving into Clarkdale. That's right now. You're likely seeing those winds starting to pick up in your area. Munford, you're going to be seeing this within the next 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're out ahead of this storm, go ahead and make sure that just a quick final check that your family knows where to go as these storms come in. Again, away from windows, away from doors, exterior walls. Go towards a more middle part of your home. Looking at Gilt Edge here, this is Gilt Edge off towards parts, I believe that's going to be in Tipton County here. Gilt Edge, it's going to be around 9:15 in your area. In fact, let's just in our heads, let's take about 2 minutes off of these times. This, again, radar's not live. That storm has already moved north a little more. Osceola, we're going to be looking at around the 9:20 to 9:25 time frame. Burdett, you're looking at around 9:30-ish. Blytheville, Arkansas, around 9:43. So we've got that just quick look at where those storms will be over the next 30 to 45 minutes here. Off towards the south, we've got more warnings in this area as well. Senatobia, we've got some strong winds scattered around your area. There's no single cluster, a single bullseye of where those severe winds could be. As we're getting a latest scan here, just north of the Mississippi Highway 4 corridor, moving north around 50 miles an hour. So these storms are moving pretty quick at highway speed. We're starting to see some stronger winds embedded within this. One thing that I see here, this is a little area of weaker winds, it looks like, just outside of the Love area with stronger winds. If that's moving away and that's moving towards, that's possibly more of an updraft signature. Not rotation, that's good, but we're just seeing some variability within these storms right now. Of course, we've already had a couple of tornado warnings this morning. You may have seen that alert come across your phone out towards these areas. Let's rewind the clock just a little bit and look over the last hour at where we've seen some of those warnings. There was some rotation outside of the Bolivar area about an hour ago. You see right there in that area, that did dissipate very quickly. It never had a debris signature associated with it. You can see a couple of frames there where we have that initial rotation right there. I need to put this on the other side so I can motion with my left hand. And then we had another small rotation right there. Then it quickly became what's called outflow dominant, the exhale of a thunderstorm, where the rotation never came back together. So that's some good news there. As I'm scanning through National Weather Service chat, I don't see any indication of them monitoring a potential tornado warning. It looks like it's all just severe winds at the moment. Meanwhile, here in our station in East Memphis, things have quieted down quite a bit. Let's just get a look at radar here across the Memphis core metro. It's a lot quieter now, though we do still have a lot of lightning, probably some distant thunder you're hearing. Notice that we're not in the downpour, the deluge of rain, but we still have lightning strikes happening in between some of these thunderstorms. This is one risk with lightning. You can often see lightning striking outside of the heavy rain and even outside of the rain entirely. Well, as it's been recorded up to 100 miles away from a thunderstorm. Quite rare to be that far, but whenever there are thunderstorms in the vicinity, you don't want to be venturing outside for too long because you could still be in the hazard zone of where that lightning could form. Let's get a count of some of this lightning just across our area here. A massive complex of thunderstorms that has developed within the last couple of hours here. So we'll just take a quick inquiry here. It shows up that we've got over 891 strikes across our viewing area with multiple thunderstorms. So pretty impressive amount of lightning as we have this morning. Off towards the Holly Springs area, you also had a tornado warning earlier this morning. Things are a little quieter now for the rotation side of things. However, we do have severe thunderstorm warnings present for your area, also for 60-mile-per-hour winds and possibly 1-inch diameter hail. We've mentioned hail as one of the threats with these storms, so I'm going to loop this over the last hour just so you can get a sense of some of the motion of the hail cores of these storms. We've seen some hail moving through the Memphis area here. We've also seen some tracks of more of a northeasterly direction to north-northeast. We see sort of this change in direction. Follow my arm here as we go to the northeast, to the north-northeast, to the north. So the winds with these individual storms are changing. We're sort of seeing almost a fanning out of these storms across the area. You'd think I'd have Italian in me, how much I talk with my hands here. But we've got multiple thunderstorms that are rolling through this region. And you can see how they're developing as they push northeast. They're also pushing north. So there's sort of two motions to these thunderstorms. Some of them are tapping into different parts of the atmosphere. So these storms on the southern end are being driven by some inflow to the south. Meanwhile, off towards the north end, these are tapping into some of the shear that's off towards the northwest there. So these are having some different motions of storms, and with that, that indicates that we've got some shear within the atmosphere, and that's why we have that tornado threat through the day today. I want to take a look just at the rotation indicator. Not seeing anything right now, so that's some good news. Of course, all of these orange boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings across the area. We'll go ahead and just jump through some of these at the moment here. If I swap over to our severe alerts just so that we can get the legend on here at the moment. There we are. So we have severe thunderstorm warnings across this area. That's the shade in orange. We've got a tornado watch on the southern end of this. So if you're back towards the northwest behind these storms, there's less of a chance of tornadoes to be rolling through that area. We'll get some of the information on screen here. Off towards the west part of your screen here, west of Memphis here. This is Crittenden, Cross DeSoto, St. Francis, parts of Shelby County, parts of Tunica County as well. Until 9:15, we have a severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. As we clear that one off, we'll swap to another warning on the southern end here. This is into parts of Panola, Quitman, Coahoma, Tate County, Tunica County, DeSoto County is also part of that warning, out towards parts of Marshall County as well. This is also until 9:15, so 9:15 here, 9:15 here, and I believe it's up to 9:45 for the northern sides of those warnings here. So bear with me as I reselect that warning. The most recent one was right here off towards the north. I'm going to scoot that down just a little below this warning here. So this is the most recent warning until 9:45. That's parts of Lauderdale, Tipton County, Mississippi County, and just corners of Shelby and Crittenden County right there. And then the largest warning that we have this morning here, we'll get that new one, the present one on screen here. This is for parts of Shelby, Fayette, Tipton, into Madison County outside of our viewing area, Hardeman County, corner of McNairy County. This is Haywood County here, southern Crockett County, and Lauderdale County, I believe I've already mentioned, as well as Tipton County. That is until 9:30, so it's somewhere in the middle there of the current warnings that we've got around the area. So we'll take you back to radar now. Keep an eye on these thunderstorms as they're rolling through. Some pretty notable threats. We'll go ahead and get that in motion. As I mentioned, most of these are moving to the northeast or the north. And this arc of storms we were talking about a moment ago, it was showing some features that could be showing up now on the outbound radar view. So we're starting to see just it getting north of the radar. As it's moving north, it's crossed over sort of this perpendicular line of where the winds are to where the radar is looking. Sometimes if you see it swinging around here, if the winds are going across the beam, it cannot get the signal from that. It can't tell what the winds are. But now we're starting to get more of an angle on it. And so as the radar is more and more parallel to the winds here, that's going to give us a better view of these winds. This warning is for some severe winds that were happening towards the south earlier with this storm. And you notice this bowing segment of that storm. Whenever we have severe winds, often they will rush out ahead of surrounding storms. And if we look back at the standard radar image here, you can sort of see that we've had that bowing line of storms rolling forward here. But it may be more that we're seeing the winds out ahead here fast, and then they're turning winds. So the winds are not at the same direction on the outside of that storm, because as we look around the radar, winds may be moving this direction out here, but where we have that severe thunderstorm, they're moving in an entirely different direction. Something catches my eye off towards the Covington area, just south of Covington. Let's zoom in on these roads here. This looks like it's Tennessee Highway 59 intersecting. I'll have to zoom in to get that intersection. So Highway 14 and Highway 59 here. This is between Tabernacle and Canaan Grove. We've got some of those bright pink colors, which moving away from the radar would indicate severe winds, and it's starting to expand there. So Cotton Lake, just up the highway here, you're going to be seeing some very intense winds here moving in pretty shortly. So let's look back at the radar around this pocket here. We've got some heavier rain. You've got Cotton Lake right now, some pretty decent heavy rain moving in presently. This is going to be some heavier rain. You'll experience a brief lull, and then it will pick up, and that's where we're likely to see some severe thunderstorm winds moving in. So now's the time to take shelter as you prepare for these thunderstorms. Of course, this is just outside of Covington proper, but if you were planning to head to Brownsville in the next few minutes, wait for this pocket of high winds to pass through, because especially if you've got a trailer, if you've got, if you're a tractor trailer, if you've got a high profile vehicle, this is going to be a crosswind. So as you're traveling right here along the highway, I believe that said Highway 54, Tennessee 54 there, you're going to see a crosswind that's going to be very difficult to travel. And also, if you're heading from Brownsville to Covington, anywhere along that east-to-west road, you'll be seeing some pretty decent, strong winds. This is around the Charleston Gift Road area. We'll zoom in, get a few more areas there. The Tabernacle Township, looks like we've got those severe winds right around your area. Again, this will be up towards the Gift area as well. Gift, Cotton Lake. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for your area right now, and we're starting to see the pocket of those strongest winds showing up. Back towards the east a little bit, or the west, excuse me, just outside of Drummond's. Now we're starting to see that bowing segment getting better samples from the radar site in Millington, and that's starting to show up with some bright pink colors there around that area. I'm going to send things over to Scott Mattis. Scott, what have you been keeping an eye on over there?
Yeah, good morning to you, Kit. Good morning, Memphis and the entire Mid-South. Thank you for joining us here on ABC 24 News. What I'm looking at right now, Kit, is the storm energy map. As you can quite frankly see, there's a lot of energy associated with this storm coming from the south, moving in a northeasterly direction. I'm going to zoom in actually to the state of Louisiana, northeastern Louisiana over by the Mississippi border. You can see that moving in a northerly direction. Now I'm going to swing over to Memphis and zoom in. You can see the energy is still incredibly high. The reds are going to be the highest energy. The yellows are going to be the lowest energy. Right now at 9:13 in the morning on a Saturday morning, you can see that energy starting to dissipate here in the Memphis metro. This is just the storm energy. I'm going to flip back over to radar where you can see the move. The storm again is moving in a northeasterly direction. The reason why that's important is because what Kit was talking about is shear. There's winds coming from the west, moving in an easterly direction. There's also winds coming from the south, moving in a northerly direction. And every once in a while, when you know that a storm is coming from a certain direction and you actually feel winds coming from the opposite direction, that's shear, that's rotation. And that causes some instability in the atmosphere. I'm going to click on radar again, and I'm going to hit lightning strikes. And what you're going to be able to see, hopefully, if this pops up, is the number of strikes here within the last several minutes. It looks like the lightning is starting to fade away. It says the number of lightning strikes. Is that just repopulating, Kit?
Yeah, so this is going to be a live of, since you turned that on, this is now counting up to that lightning that he was looking at there. It can take another, if we swap back, there we go, to max 1. Or to our lightning view here. This is just the full history of the lightning. So we've seen, it popped up very briefly there with Scott, that we've seen over 1,000 strikes across our viewing area. Excuse me. So, and you also noticed that that ticker was counting up very quickly. That's because we've seen some of the lightning, just if we continue with that count here, it should begin to populate in. This would be a live view of the lightning. I'm not going to worry with that. Let's get back to velocity presently, as we've got some severe winds that we want to get an update on. Load in this graphic here. Just bear with me for a moment here. This is up towards the Covington area, not quite into, it looks like it's actually expanded a little bit into Covington proper. Also Aikens Corner there, between Aikens Corner and Gilt Ridge, the Tabernacle area. We're seeing some expanding severe thunderstorm winds off towards the north here. It looks like there was a non-thunderstorm wind gust up towards Blytheville of 58 miles per hour. So some pretty strong winds here. This is the Cotton Lake area. This is what I was talking about just a few moments ago, of this expanding area of severe thunderstorm winds. It was right there around Highway 59, Highway 54 crossing there. I think that's Highway 14, excuse me, just south of Tabernacle. So Brownsville to Covington, specifically Cotton Lake to Covington. You want to be in your shelter at this point, and anywhere along Queens Crossing Road, Allen Cox Road, if you live around any of these roads here that I've mentioned there, anywhere towards the Henning area, get that next town in there, the Nutbrush area, Belle Eagle. If you live anywhere around these regions here along Tennessee Highway 19 right there, you want to be seeking shelter, because these winds are actually strengthening and expanding. The thing is, whenever we have the winds that start to get crossing that threshold, we're just seeing some small isolated threats of winds upwards of 60 miles per hour. But once we start to see it expanding, I'm going to take a couple pixel samples there. We start to see the area of severe winds expanding and the threshold of that getting higher. So we're approaching, if you look up towards the legend here, we're approaching those bright pink colors near to the bright purple. That would be more damaging winds, more widespread severe, and then more significant severe winds showing up once we get to that purple shade. So if you keep an eye out for that magenta fuchsia shade, the more hot pink shade. That's when we're going to see some stronger winds. We're already getting close to that threshold. That threshold would be, I believe, 70 to 75 mile per hour winds there. So that's where we're seeing some more intense winds at the moment. I want to take a look on the more broad scale. As we're now past 9:15, our backside of these warnings has been allowed to expire. That's some good news, but we still have severe winds, and these are more intense and intensifying winds off towards the north that could quickly become more severe as we head towards the Ripley area. Gates, Maury City, you might see some strong winds on the outside of this if this continues to expand. Scott Mattis, what you got for me?
All right, thanks, Kit. we're going to pop up Sam Cooper. We've got our TDOT cameras right now, if we could do that. We've got reports of massive flooding. You're looking at an accident right now. This on Sam Cooper. Again, we've got reports of both lanes in both directions with semi-flooding. A lot of water on the ground. You're looking at what looks like at least 3 vehicles on the side of the road with emergency crews moving to what looks like the center lane. There's 4 lanes at that particular point of Sam Cooper. Looks like there's 3 vehicles. You can see the water on the bottom hand side and also the top hand side. You can see the vehicles that are actually traveling, the water actually puddling. All right, let's go back to radar right now. It looks like we've got 836, now 846 lightning strikes just in the Memphis metro, northern Mississippi, eastern Arkansas, and of course, western Tennessee. Another point of contention is MLGW. All right, we've got right now 3,134 power outages across the city of Memphis and Shelby County. Now, to put this into perspective, at 8:30 this morning, there were a little over 1,100 outages. By 8:51, that popped up to a little over 4,000. By 9 o'clock, 5,000. And again, right now, we're hovering just over 3,100 power outages. If we can go back to Sam Cooper, taking a live look outside. If you are awake with us across the metro, likely you've experienced heavy winds and heavy rains. We're going to send things back over to Kit Thomas.
Thank you, Scott Mattis. Of course, Scott Mattis running some help this morning. Appreciate him being in. So we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning for this cluster of severe winds here. This is moving outside of parts of northeastern Tipton County, far southwestern Lauderdale County, and into parts of western Haywood County at this hour. This new severe thunderstorm warning is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail until 10 o'clock this morning. This will be moving towards the Dyersburg area very quickly. The National Weather Service saying only up to 60 miles per hour for those winds. Of course, we were talking about that potential of higher winds within the storm, so that would indicate that they don't believe these strongest winds are going to what we call mix down, spread down to the surface. That would be good, but as we're starting to see it crossing that threshold, upwards of 75 miles per hour here within the core of that. I would not be surprised if they enhanced that warning that's present if this continues to grow more upscale. As we see it moving to the northeast. So we're getting a new scan of that radar, another pixel there of winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. I'll get that investigator tool back out. So that's also 76 miles per hour. So our threshold that we see here on that the light pink to the hot pink color there, that's a changeover from above 58. 58 is severe, up to 75 miles per hour. That's more significant severe winds that could be rolling through that area here. So this is just north of the Cotton Lake area, Cotton Lake to Covington, Highway 54, just north of you. You're starting to get more into the clear. So if you're around the Tabernacle area, right in here in this little triangle, Tabernacle, you're starting to see things settle down now. So that's some good news for you. But Henning Bethlehem Road, things are probably sounding very, very strong. The Durhamville Township there, Durhamville Road, Oriza, I may be mispronouncing that, Oriza there, just south of Durhamville. You're still in the thick of it, and notice down towards Cotton Lake, we've got some strong winds still around your area. Again, where it changes from the red to the pink, that's the changeover to severe thunderstorm winds. As we look a little more broadly here, we've got an update on that severe thunderstorm warning right now. The National Weather Service has upgraded it to 70 mile per hour winds. So we've got that considerable tag. Let me get that tool back here for that. Pardon me for one moment. I'll have to switch back over to radar to get the investigator tool working properly. So let's stay with this warning for the moment as we look at until 10 o'clock, updated to a considerable threat. That's because we're starting to see 70-mile-per-hour winds possibly reaching the surface, 65-mile-per-hour under current pixel. I'll erase that one just so we can get that off. Notice just with me, we've got a few pixels, very small on your screen, but those few pixels are getting up to 75-mile-per-hour winds. That would be more widespread damaging winds. Unlikely those are reaching the surface, as this is a couple thousand feet above the surface, but we're still seeing up to 70-mile-per-hour winds possible around that area. Of course, we've had several areas of power outages across the region, especially with MLGW, so I want to send things back over to Scott Mattis with some of that information.
All right, Kit, thank you very much. We just joined you a couple of minutes ago, I did rather, with a little over 4,000 power outages with MLGW just before 9 o'clock this morning. Last time I talked to you a few minutes ago was just at 3,800. Now that has jumped up to a little more than 7,000 people in Shelby County without power. We're talking about 7,377 people without power at last check. That is a significant amount of people without power, but MLGW telling ABC 24 News that more than 98% of people in Shelby County do still have power. This is a great reminder. Charge your battery packs, charge your phones, make sure that you have your weather radio with batteries. This is something that you should do, of course, before a storm. Let's go ahead and take a look at radar right now. We're talking about the system that is quickly moving in a northeasterly direction. You can see the significant part of the storm moving through central Shelby County. You can see the red parts of the system moving what looks like in a northerly direction. But listen, I'm going to zoom out here. There is a lot behind this system. We're in what we can call the central part of this system right now. I'll zoom out even more. This extends itself, the tail end of what we're looking at right now, all the way down to Louisiana and portions of southeastern Arkansas, portions of western and northwestern Mississippi, up into all of western Tennessee, breaking into parts of central Tennessee. What we're going to look at right now is rotation. Now, this is the possibility of tornadic activity. What we're looking for is red. This is not red. This is orange. And as you can see, it's moving out of the Memphis metro. And when we talk about the storm energy, as we're looking at this, you can see it's still coming out of Mississippi, Louisiana, parts of Texas, moving up into the Memphis metro. Kit Thomas is live with the latest.
Yeah, so we've got more of that. Pardon me, I muted myself briefly. We see that we've got some more of those bright hot pink colors there. 75-mile-per-hour winds showing up on the velocity product, the storm winds, as it were. The Ripley to Nutbrush area, you need to be sheltered immediately, as these storms have already crested the severe threshold as we go from the red to pink, moving north. Fort Deer, that township there, you're going to be seeing these severe winds moving in very shortly. This is Tennessee Highway 19. It may be called something in your town, something different, but Highway 51 here from Henning to Ripley on up from there. We've got that sort of as our western border of these severe winds right now. However, these winds have been expanding. We'll get a wider view here on this storm. This is moving into parts of eastern Lauderdale County and northwestern Haywood County. This is a severe thunderstorm warning until 10 p.m. It was recently updated to 70-mile-per-hour winds with that as well. Looks like we're working on getting some traffic cameras around that area, so we'll bring that when we have it shortly. But we have cameras just outside of that area. This is northbound. Michaela, if you could tell me what highway that's on, we can take a look at that. Looks like it's Highway 158 around exit 53. We can pull that up. It looks like we've got some pretty dark skies there as those storms are, if this would be moving northbound, technically those winds, those storms would possibly be behind us. Excuse me, this is on Arkansas, so this may be just outside of that current warning. Let's get back to radar now. We'll keep an eye on some of those. I appreciate Michaela getting some of those camera views for us. We've got several people in-house this morning. All came in very early, so everyone's a little sleep deprived, but we're all here to keep you safe this morning. Ripley, you're starting to see some of those very strong winds, especially if you live on the east side of town. This is Connor Whitefield Road here, out towards the Toulon area. 5 Mile Lane is also showing up here. Between Nutbrush and Durhamville, we've got Nunn Road. We've got Henning Bethlehem Road as well. Excuse me. Many of these spots here, Hurricane Hill, funny enough, you're seeing near hurricane force winds right now, as these hot pink colors here are 75-mile-per-hour winds within the storm. They might be a little slower mixing down to the ground, but 74 is technically hurricane force wind. We're seeing this over the last 30 minutes. This has evolved very quickly. Let's just get a quick loop on that motion of those storms that have just expanded very, very quickly. Let's continue that loop just to see that expansion of those storm winds pretty rapidly. We've seen as it's moving away from. Quick update here. We've got a canceled warning. We enjoy hearing that. A canceled warning for Shelby County. Shelby County no longer under a severe thunderstorm warning. Not only that, but also parts of Fayette County, Hardeman County, DeSoto, Marshall County. All of those regions are now outside of a warning, so that is some good news for us. Right now, we're just tracking for our northern viewing area here, up the Interstate 55 to Highway 51 corridor here. This is between the Henning and Ripley area. This is our area of most concern around the Nutbrush, around, Nutbush, not Nutbrush. I've been mispronouncing that. I apologize. We're starting to see some of that very strong wind rolling through. Grabbing the wrong tool here. Let's look at that velocity once again. We've got a whole wide area of severe thunderstorm winds. If you're just joining us this morning from some of our northern viewing area, we appreciate you tuning in to here on ABC 24 as we've started to see some severe thunderstorms rolling through our area. Many of these thunderstorms are continuing to produce very strong winds across the region. And so they've been progressing to the north for the most part. Gates there, right there in northeastern Lauderdale County. You're right up next with these storms. Eventually, they will be moving into Dyersburg. So Dyer County, you've got a bit of a heads up here. I'm going to put the track on that as this current thunderstorm, get the information on the screen for you. That current thunderstorm is for 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. Forgive me, as that the investigator tool picks up the storm winds. So we'll get the information on screen now for that severe thunderstorm warning. So this is a radar indicated threat, considerable threat. So when we talk about considerable threats, that's an extra level of severe winds. Beyond just the severe threshold of technically 58-mile-per-hour winds is where we start to see more widespread damage occurring. So now we're up to 70-mile-per-hour winds. This is until 10 o'clock this morning, eventually moving through the Dyer County area. Obion County will also be within this warning eventually, so we'll keep an eye out for that when we get to it. Let's get back to the velocity picture as we're starting to see this cluster of strong winds pushing out very quickly here ahead of this storm. So I want to zoom in very tight. This is between the Brownsville and Gates area here. Up Highway 19. If you're anywhere along Tennessee 19 there between Brownsville and Ripley, you've been feeling these winds. You're getting on the backside of them now. They are still severe and you're still going to have some fast winds. Let's get some pixels here of some of these winds that we've got around the area. So 77 miles per hour right there just north of the Nutbush area. Ripley, you're sort of on the border of this, 36-mile-per-hour winds. Forked Deer Township, looks like we're seeing winds up to 72 miles per hour there. Looks like the radar may be updating a pixel or two here, so Nutbush may be dropping down a little bit. There's that update. So let's clear off some of these pixels and we'll get some new samples of what that most recent radar data is. Again, radar is not technically live. It takes a minute for it to process when it listens and it sees the radar, it sees the storm, I should say, and then it takes a minute to process and get into our system, and then it takes a minute, and by the time it's in our system and you're looking at it, it's moved on. But we'll at least get a sample of what the most recent sampling is within this area. So up to 76 miles per hour there, just northeast of Nutbush, also north of the Fort Deer area. Ripley, looks like we've got some winds around 35, so not technically severe for you. That's good. Nutbush, just sub-severe. 58 is severe, 57. You're still within the realm of severe winds, though, as we've got this whole area likely to see that. Just looking at the very corner, I've just sampled that pixel right there. That is 58 miles per hour. Just outside of that, if I get the next pixel just adjacent to it, just so you can see, that's 55 miles per hour. So literally that difference from the pink to the bright red, that's 57 to 55 miles per hour. So we're seeing that threshold showing up on the radar. We got just another push of that area of winds. Looks like it's starting to expand even more. This is a strong 75 mile per hour wind pocket within the mid-levels of that thunderstorm that could be bringing some severe winds. I want to send things over to Scott Mattis. There's another thing I want to check here, but I need to do it off camera. So Scott, if you could take over for a moment.
All right, sure. Thank you, Kit. Good morning, Memphis and the entire Mid-South. If you're just joining us, it's 35 minutes after 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. We're following increasingly severe storms and the possibility of tornadic activity all across the metro. At the very latest check right now, MLGW reporting just over 4,600 power outages in the city of Memphis and Shelby County. Again, 4,600 power outages all across the city. You can see the map right there. Let's go ahead and take radar right now. As Kit's been talking about, this system is moving in a northeasterly direction. You can see just how big this system is. I'm going to widen it out. You can see all of the hot boxes going all the way down to northern Louisiana up to southeastern Arkansas, portions of western Mississippi, all the way up to eastern Arkansas and western Tennessee. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So if you are not experiencing rain or wind right now, this is what we're looking at. Parts of Clarksdale, Mississippi, portions of eastern Louisiana. This is moving in a northeasterly direction. As you can see, this is moving towards the Memphis metro, the immediate metro. So while you might have a lull right now, this is still a very active storm, a very severe storm. We're going to take a look at the energy associated with this storm. All right, let's pick this up right here. You can see just how far south all of this storm energy extends itself all the way from parts of southeastern Texas, covering almost the entire state of Louisiana, almost the entire state of Mississippi, and eastern Arkansas, also western Tennessee. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the live radar associated with this. You see the hot boxes in the immediate metro. We're talking about the Covington area and the Dyersburg area. This is a very strong point of contention. And again, we've been talking about those radar strikes. This is a look at radar strikes right now. This is not indicative of all of the lightning strikes that we've had through the duration of this storm. But as you can see, this is still a very active and very severe storm. We're going to send things over to Kit Thomas at the wall.
Resuming our focus on this severe thunderstorm warning in our northern viewing area here. This is now into the northern corner of Haywood County, moving into Crockett County. This is Alamo and Gates. That's into Lauderdale County. Also within, excuse me, just had a sip of water. Within that severe thunderstorm warning, we're starting to see that push in with some very strong winds. Now, one thing I just checked in with the National Weather Service, these pixels here, these are what they were describing as environmental winds. So these are the winds within the mid-levels of the storm that are, they believe, unlikely to be mixing down all the way to the surface. When we say mixing, basically the rain itself as it falls through those very strong winds they can sometimes carry the momentum that they pick up, but they're not believing that it's going to be quite to that severity. Of course, they are keeping an eye on this very closely. We, of course, appreciate our partners at the National Weather Service for issuing these warnings. They're the ones who are responsible for this, so we cheer them on as well and appreciate their hard work tonight and today as well. So that they've updated that warning box. So the Covington area no longer within the warning. You're mostly in the clear zone now. We have this little more stale warning here for this arc of winds. You see a pocket right there of potentially severe winds just outside of the Ripley area to your northwest. You've sort of dodged a bullet between some of the strongest winds here, but we are seeing likely that storm will be updated shortly. The National Weather Service, of course, working very hard to keep the highest threat updated. Some of those older warnings may not be seeing quite as much of the need for attention as this is moving very quickly. Between Forked Deer and Friendship, we've got widespread 58 to 60 up to 70 mile per hour winds across the area. So that threshold that you see here where it jumps up to that, again, the National Weather Service is saying that is not mixing down the 75 mile per hour wind. So that's some good news for that side of things. However, we could still see up to 70 mile per hour winds, and that still does damage. So that's still something that we're going to keep in mind. And as we get to that next scan, it looks like that area of more severe winds, stronger winds, has shrunk just a little bit. So maybe that's a sign. Of course, this is just, we're taking still images of the atmosphere as the radar sweeps through. And you just saw we've got another cluster that is pushed forward just a little bit. What we're looking at here, I was checking off air, this is about 2,500 feet up, so a very high level in the atmosphere. Of course, we can see much higher than that, especially farther out, but this is the lowest we can see for these storms as we're looking from the Millington radar site in northern Shelby County. I'll show you where we're looking at Millington right there. It's moving out, and as it moves away, it starts to go up and away from the surface. And so that's showing up with those winds about 2,500 feet above the ground. So that's why it's likely to not be at the surface where we've got that stronger wind. I'm noticing a little bit of weaker winds on that northwest side. And I want to get a look at a different product of radar here just to notice if that's any rotation possibly showing up or if that may be just a weakening area. Of course, we've got the potential for tornadoes. This is a predominantly straight line wind event happening right now. We're not quite seeing as much of the tornado threat presently. So it doesn't look like that's going to be a significant rotation there. It's just an area of weakening wind, though that could eventually evolve into some rotation. We're keeping a close eye on that. It doesn't look to be a concern at the moment. If you are in Friendship, though, it's always good to have a friend. We've got between Maury City and Friendship, this is where we're starting to see that transition from sub-severe to above severe threshold, where you see that hot pink. So Friendship along Highway 412 there, you're going to be seeing those strong winds very soon. Crockett Mills, Jackson Stone Road, you're going to be up next after those storms push in. And I want to go ahead and get a track on these storms and push it out ahead, as this is going to eventually move out of our viewing area. But it looks like as it's moving north, it's starting to sort of take a northeasterly turn, sort of a right turn as it's fanning out. As these storms start, sometimes you'll get an initial drop, a downdraft we call it, and then as that hits the ground, it pushes out, and sometimes that can push out and away, and it looks like we're seeing some of that outward spreading towards Blytheville and eventually towards Trenton. So we might see that turn. So I'm going to deviate a little bit from the National Weather Service polygon here and push this just to the northeast corner here. I'm actually going to redraw that box here, as it didn't quite get as wide as I wanted on that one. Forgive me, I'll have to reload this graphic briefly. All right, so let's go ahead and get that outer edge leading to the northeast a little more there. All right, so the Alamo area, you're just right on the outskirts of the severe winds, just got clipped into that. So you're not going to see quite the core of this, though you could still see maybe a stray gust on the outskirts within the next 5 to 10 to 15 minutes. The thing is, I'm just tracking the leading edge, not the trailing edge. So you'll see the winds come in and they will likely last for maybe 10 minutes. This is moving around 50 miles per hour. It may pick up to around 50, 60 miles per hour. So in your head, take off about 5 minutes from all of these times here. So the Stokes area, you're going to be seeing it imminently. Right now, you're starting to see those winds getting close to that severe wind threshold. Trenton, just outside of our viewing area, technically. Trenton's looking at around the 10 o'clock area. So again, take off 5 minutes before 10 o'clock. You will likely see those winds getting to your area. Yorkville here, Yorkville is looking at around the 10 o'clock time frame as well. Kenton eventually seeing 10:09. Cydonia not showing up on the map, but Cydonia looking around 10:15, 10:10, 10:15, and Greenfield just after 10:15 or so. So that's where we're starting to see those winds pushing in through that area. So there's going to be some pretty strong thunderstorms rolling through. Here's a quick update for you. That severe thunderstorm warning that was into parts of Mississippi County along Interstate 55 into western parts of this would be Tipton County, Lauderdale County and Tipton County. That warning has been allowed to expire. So now we just have one lone severe thunderstorm warning in our viewing area here. So let's get a wider view across our viewing area. We'll swap back to radar. Of course, over the last several hours, we've had numerous severe thunderstorms across the region here. Just outside of Covington, up towards the Dyersburg area, moving towards the northeast. That's where we've seen some severe winds presently. But we still have some very heavy rainfall starting to pick up at the station. I can actually hear it on our roof across East Memphis. We've got some more moderate rainfall, heavy rain across Olive Branch, Byhalia, Lewisburg, Mount Pleasant. You're in a lull right now, but you'll see more heavy rain very shortly. Then out towards Grand Junction, heavy rain, and there's an abundance of lightning within these storms as well. So you likely are hearing all of those rumbles of thunder out there. So staying indoors as this threat is still present. This thunderstorm to the north is a very disorganized cluster of thunderstorms here. But the thing is, as you see on the back edge of it, let me move this north a little bit so we can, I don't have to bend over so much, but you can see on that trailing edge of that storm, you've got that break in the rain, and that's where we've been seeing some very strong winds moving to the northeast. These have been severe winds. Now they are pushing that boundary of the back edge of those rains, moving towards the Maury City area there into northwestern Crockett County. So if we look back at radar right in here, this is an incredibly intense rain. This is predominantly a wind-driven threat. The warning does have up to 1-inch diameter hail, but I'm not quite seeing that as a primary threat with these storms at the moment. Let's take a look at the hail tracker. And this goes back a couple of hours, so I'll just look at, rather than hail tracks, just current hail. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on our hail tracker. Looping this over the last 2 hours. We did have some hail possibly through the Brownsville area an hour and a half ago, but now this storm no longer has hail as a primary threat. Of course, that's just our radar algorithm. That's not the National Weather Service's, so they may be seeing something else. I'll always give that caveat that they have different eyes on these storms, and so I'll trust their judgment that we could still see hail possibly develop on that. Just heard some thunder at our station here. So Crockett County, if you're in Alamo or if you're east of Alamo, you're in the clear. You're still seeing some pretty strong winds around your area. Don't get me wrong. These lighter red colors here, not quite into the pinks. These are colors that indicate 50-mile-per-hour winds. There's a rumble of thunder shaking some of the lights up here. My goodness. So Scott Mattis, it looks like you've been doing some diligent work gathering some information on these storms. I want to send things over to you, get your thoughts on these storms.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kit. Amazing job as always. We're going to switch gears for just a second. We're going to be taking a look at the MLGW power outage map. As you can see, widespread outages across the metro. Just under 6,000 people across the city of Memphis and Shelby County without power. Now, you can see on the southern portion, the southeastern portion of that map, just outside of downtown, as it be on the map, very close to Lamar and Airways. That's the red area. That seems to be a very significant portion of outages in Shelby County and the city of Memphis. All right. As you zoom out on that map, you can see towards the northern part of the city, you see yellows and greens. So mainly what we're looking at is the southern portion and the southeastern portion of Memphis has the highest concentration of outages. We're going to take a look at the maps right now, taking a look at temperatures right in the city of Memphis, right around 60 degrees just above. And if you do a circumference around the city of Memphis, you can see those temperatures, well, they're a little bit higher. And why this is important, and Kit has been talking about this for the last several days, one of the precursors to severe weather in these intense storms is the dew point. You can see the dew point right at 58 degrees, 63 degrees in Bolivar. And once again, as Kit has been doing an amazing job taking a breather right now, we're going to look at live radar. And as he's been saying, this isn't exactly live, but this is very close to live. You can see the system still moving in a northeasterly direction. As it stands right now, I'm going to kind of zoom into just north of Holly Springs. This seems to be a very severe concentration of this system, just east of South Haven, again, moving over the state line into the state of Tennessee, over by Fisherville and Somerville. Bolivar, of course, Kit has been talking about. These are very real points of contention. But again, these hot boxes in northern and northeastern Louisiana and parts of western Mississippi, well, that entire system is moving northeast towards Memphis once again. So if you're not experiencing rain right now or thunderstorms like we are in northeastern Memphis, just wait a little bit. It's on its way. This is a fast-moving storm, and it continues to develop. If you are having some sort of a lull with the rain, again, it is on its way. And, you know, I want to take a look at the storm energy again, because I think this is a very important map. This is the energy associated with this powerful storm. You can see just how far it extends. It was covering a majority of the eastern portion of Texas a short time ago. Now it's encompassing the entire state of Louisiana and most of Mississippi as it moves in a northeasterly direction. Again, a product of the environment. Kit, we're going to send things back over to you.
Good eye on getting that storm energy index up there. That's one thing I want to talk a little more on that, because you know, it's a great tool to see. That notice that we've had those rain and thunderstorms here across this area. I'm going to loop it just like Scott was showing you. Notice how that energy is disappearing. That is because it is being consumed by these thunderstorms. The last couple of days we've been talking about, I'm going to extend this over the last 4 hours here just so we can get a better loop on this. The last few days we've been talking about this conditional threat. We've had the potential for thunderstorms to form late last night and then again today. The thing is, they didn't form last night, so that left all of this energy very strong on the moderate to high end of this scale. It left it there for the storms to tap into overnight, and it did. It had dropped in those thunderstorms very quickly this morning, and it has gobbled up all of that energy. Scott was showing you the dew point. That's the moisture that's required. We also need the heat. The temperatures late into the night last night were still in the 70s, so we still had plenty of heat. But as the mid-levels, the upper levels of the atmosphere started to get colder and colder, as the cold front that's on the backside of this, the cold air that's moving in from the northeast, I'm going to show you here on infrared satellite, we've had those that deep low pressure system moving across the Iowa area up into Wisconsin. This is pulling in on the backside of it very cold air across our area. Of course, you can see those bright red colors. That's the very tall thunderstorms we've seen develop this morning. If I slow this down just a little bit here, we can see the storms that have developed over the last few hours here across the Mid-South. As this loops back around, we'll start things off just before 4 a.m. Not a whole lot happening at that time, and then we started to tap into that energy. Of course, as we went through the night, we started to see things calm down. We really had very few severe thunderstorm warnings within our core metropolitan area around Memphis, and then we resupplied that cold air, and we had the front eventually pushing into that area of instability, that storm energy, and we've unlocked the atmosphere, and that's why we've had these thunderstorms across this area. We've been sort of talking outside of this severe thunderstorm. I want to bring you some more of those updates on that, as we've seen it actually trimmed back out of the Dyer County area. As I was mentioning, that was starting to move away from Dyersburg. Dyersburg is now in the clear, though you'll still see some gusty winds. There's still a pocket of maybe 45 to 55 mile per hour winds just moving out of Lauderdale County. But the Maury City area, you are now on the backside, the trailing edge of this severe wind gust complex. Friendship down to the Alamo area, you're still within that warning presently, and this is moving out of our viewing area just to forgive me, that's the Gibson County area. So Gibson County still within that warning. On the northeast side, we may see a new warning probably drawn towards the northeast here. They're probably, the current plan is to let that go to the top of the hour. So that will be the last warning that is in place. So that's about 5 minutes out from the end of this severe outbreak that we've started to see this morning. I wanted to add something on here. Bear with me as I add a new warning on, because I saw that we had a flash flood warning present. So I want to get that on the map here. We've got a flash flood warning south of the Memphis area. This is between Hernando and Senatobia. This is parts of Tate and DeSoto County. So we'll get that information on the screen here for you. So this is radar indicated flash flood warning until 11:30 a.m. I'll read you some of the information here. We've seen flash flooding, or we could see flash flooding of small creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, streets and underpasses, as well as other poor drainage and low-lying areas. Of course, we're still coming out of winter. There may still be some leaves in the street or getting washed into the street from yards and other areas. So that might start to clog up storm drains and cause street flooding here in Tate and DeSoto County. We've seen between 2 and 3 inches of rain within the last couple of hours in this area. So that's why we're looking at that that flash flood warning. I say severe thunderstorm warning because that severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire as well. So we've had some pretty extended coverage. I'm looking towards our south and west here, just outside of the Clarksdale area. We've got another complex of thunderstorms that are moving in that region, but it looks like these are moving a little more eastward than northward towards our viewing area. So I might say that it may be a time to drop out of severe thunderstorms here as well. So I'm going to check in with the National Weather Service. It doesn't look like they're saying anything else requires a new severe thunderstorm warning, so that's some good news for us. I'll jump back to the velocity product just so we can keep our eyes on it. One thing that they've mentioned is that these winds, these brighter hot pink colors, the darker colors there, that's on our radar. It shows up as 75 mile per hour winds in that color. On the other end of the scale, if it was heading towards, it would be the dark blue. But these winds here are what they were describing as environmental winds. They're winds that are not quite reaching the surface. And as this storm is moving farther and farther away, we're seeing higher and higher up into the environmental winds. So these are unlikely to be mixing all the way down to the surface. As we're coming up on the 10 o'clock hour, I'm going to wait for that warning to drop off of the map here. Of course, it has been designated to expire, though sometimes it takes a moment for it to drop off. Scott Mattis, I'm going to bring you back in. Could you help me recap what we've seen with these storms the last few hours this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, Kit. Good morning, Memphis, and good morning to the entire Mid-South. I'm going to switch back over to radar right now. And as it's loading up, you can see the system is still moving in a northeasterly direction. We've been seeing pockets of high velocity wind, most recently right around the Bolivar area, as Kit has been detailing. That seems to have been moving in a northeasterly direction out of that immediate area. When we're talking about lightning strikes all across the metro, we're talking in the thousands over the last several hours. As you can see, this is a live look at the metro with local radar. Thousands of lightning strikes. So again, if you don't have to be outside, don't be outside. One of the things that I know we've been talking about, and I know Kit has been talking about over the last several days, associated with this storm is the potential for tornadic activity. And right now, as it stands, you can see at the very top of the map itself, you can see the threat level, green being the lowest and purple being the highest. Right now, most of the state of Arkansas does not have any threat whatsoever. Portions of eastern Arkansas has the lowest threat. The city of Memphis and Shelby County seems to be very neutral or just above the lowest category. But then you move east, and we're talking about east of Shelby County, Fayette County, Hardeman County, North Mississippi, Benton, Marshall, and DeSoto County. Parts of DeSoto County are still in that mid-range level. But then you look at Tupelo, Birmingham, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, Nashville, Tennessee even. This is what looks to be a problematic area as the system continues to move in a northeasterly direction. I'm going to switch over to severe hail threat, and it's very much the same. There's not a lot of hail threat right now as it stands in the city of Memphis or Shelby County, or for that matter, the metro. We're looking at more of the Tupelo area and the Huntsville and Birmingham area. Once again, we're going to go back to radar. As it stands right now, it's raining right now in northeastern Memphis. It's raining across most of the metro as the system continues to move north and northeast. Bolivar, you're about to get hit right now, incredibly hard. And yeah, Kit Thomas is live at the weather wall with the very latest. What's going on over there, Kit?
Yeah, so Scott, we're now at the 10 o'clock hour, and it looks like things have started to wind down for us. That is a good sign. But you know, a shout out to Scott Mattis, of course, a reporter, one of our very skilled reporters here, jumping in, helped me out this morning. I appreciate him. I appreciate Michaela as well, our producer, our directors are here as well. Haley is here. We've got numerous warnings outside our viewing area. Confirmed tornado, it looks like, just outside. Well outside of our viewing area, just keeping an eye on that. That's outside of Lake Providence. That's moving towards the Rolling Fork. Rolling Fork, very familiar with tornado warnings, though that is not our viewing area. And as we look at that presently, we are, we'll call it clear for now. We're not in the all clear because the rest of today, of course, as Scott was so cleanly delivering there, we've got that severe weather risk for the rest of the day today. The risk increases towards Birmingham. If you have family down towards Tupelo to Birmingham, down to Meridian, Columbus, down towards Jackson and Hattiesburg, that's where we've got a high risk today. make sure you're communicating with them. Make sure that your family and friends are staying safe today and tuning into their local weather coverage. Let's time things out here over the next few hours. We're not done yet. We'll likely need more coverage later on this afternoon. Around 1 o'clock, we've got some intense thunderstorms there east and southeast of the Memphis metro. These thunderstorms continue to push through the 3 o'clock hour. These could be more severe thunderstorms as well, possibly with tornadic activity as well. That'll eventually push out of our viewing area by 4 o'clock. Now, we've had some of the uncertainty with these storms the last couple of days. This is the model that got it right. This is the one that had everything with nothing happening last night, and early morning threats today. And then we're going to push it forward and expect this to come true later on this afternoon. And then we will be in the clear as we head overnight. Maybe a stray shower or two, but this will be on the backside of the low. Currently, we're at 58 degrees here in Memphis. So we've cooled down pretty quickly as that rain-cooled air has come through. Out ahead of it, though, 65 degree temperatures in Holly Springs, 70 degrees in Oxford. We've got dew points in the 60s. This is the moisture that has to be converted into the thunderstorm. So we've got plenty of that moisture. The wind's around 13 miles per hour. This is the end of my graphic sequence here, but we'll switch back to our radar for one last look. Of course, we're going to sign off here with this. We appreciate you bearing with us this morning. We're going to have more coverage this afternoon as the threat requires. Make sure you download our ABC 24 weather app. You can find that in the App Store. You can get news updates from that as well. But you can download that. Also, go to our ABC 24 Weather Watchers Facebook page. As we could have more of those thunderstorms moving into the area through the day today. I want you to scan this QR code for me real quick, and you can jump into the Facebook group that we've got, ABC 24 Weather Watchers. Go ahead and scan that QR code. You can submit your severe weather pictures. Hopefully you take them after the threat has passed. If you have any damage, we would appreciate you sharing that with us. I'll go through and I'll make sure that we approve everyone to be in that group. Of course, when you sign up for that group, you give us permission to use your photos on air and online. So with that, we'll go ahead and conclude our coverage for now. We will be back in as we need more coverage as we see a potential for more severe thunderstorms over the next several hours. So for Scott Mattis, I'm meteorologist Kit Thomas. Thank you so much for watching.